You're starting.
Mhm.
Welcome everyone to week 2 of Effortless Book Club. Um, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and there may be some more that join in, and we may have another host coming. We'll see, but I will get started. So this chapter or section was all about effortless action, and I put some of the questions in the chat, and so we'll just go through some of them and share. So, um, think of a current goal. Is your idea of done clearly defined? And how might ambiguity, sorry, be holding you back? Um, I think that happens for me a lot. Like, I don't actually know what done is. Like, an example is like Saturday mornings. Like, I'm always like rushing around, like trying to do things around the house, and then I'll tell myself like I'm just gonna get this and this done, and then I'll end up working half the day and I didn't do anything fun. And so it's like I don't really have a clear idea in my mind ahead of time of like what all I'm gonna do and what done looks like, so I can mentally feel like I've accomplished enough. um so that's kind of my thing, is kind of just I don't really define usually what done is. I kind of just go, and then I'm like, well, what happened? So I don't know if anyone else has an example or like a strategy for how they define what done looks like when they're trying to accomplish a task or anything like that. Welcome, Megan. I was just asking the first question about having a current goal and your idea of done. And do you have a clear definition of what that is? I thought that was really cool because I had never really thought about like doing that, or that I didn't ever cross my mind that I needed to do that. So I liked that it kind of pointed that out in that chapter. You look really pretty, by the way.
Oh, me, thank you.
Yeah.
I have to get real specific, and I forget to do that because I'm like, oh, well, it's done when the job is done, right? And I always go back to examples like with housework because that just never seems like it's done, or there's always dishes. But if I say that, maybe there's always dishes in the sink. So if I say something like most of the dishes are done,
Mhm.
or two-thirds, or, I just try to be more specific rather than everything is done because I'll turn around and then there's more dirty dishes that have shown up. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
One
I bet.
example,
Go ahead.
sorry. One example I think that's really meaningful in this area too are things that are involving people that we love, because like spending that time on work type stuff versus relationships, like are we really fitting in the relationships? Because I kind of think that's part of the simplification that he exemplifies in all of his like books is like slow down and be present to a degree. So that was just one of my thoughts.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so let's see, that was in chapter 6. One thing that also helped me is just getting really clear, because I wrote down a few things like at the beginning of the year, some of the things I wanted to do is, and I put one of my goals was becoming financially independent. Okay, and I thought that was just like pretty direct as a goal, but then I used Chat GPT, and I was like, what is, and because I read this chapter, I was like, what is a clear definition of what financial independent is? And it lists all these things, and like I hadn't even like thought of all the little details of it. And so I just took a couple of them and wrote them down to be more, you know, um clear about what that actually is. And number one is, it said I put debt free, like not owing anybody anything. And then number two was to have a 6-month emergency fund. And so that was kind of just defining I guess, financial independence. And it had a whole list, but it was just overwhelming. So I was just like, okay, those are where I need to start. So I didn't want to have like 15 things. So I kind of wrote those two down. So this chapter kind of inspired me to go and like look at my goals that I had wrote down at the beginning of the year and just kind of get more clarity on them. Because, like I said, I just wrote down financial independence. But okay. So
Well,
the
so
next,
Amy, keep that in mind um, for number three.
okay.
So yeah, I want to hear how you simplify.
Okay. Do you want to take over and with number
So
two?
sure,
Okay.
I can step in. Thank you for filling in.
Mhm.
And so after you define an action, then how do you start? And actually, maybe, Amy, this would apply to your example too. But how do you start, and what's the smallest possible step you can take right now toward a project that's been lingering? Or I call it, it's hanging over my head, something I got to get done, and I've been dreading it.
Okay, I guess I'll just start with kind of like the starting point for that. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm starting and like what is the smallest thing, but like for that thing, my first step was to add up. I think is to add up all my expenses and how much is coming in and then see what the difference is and then decide how much of that is going to go extra towards my debt, which is my car payment, how much to apply extra to my car payment and how much to apply extra to a retire or a 6 month emergency fund. So that's kind of where I'm stuck is like I have a plan, but I just don't know how to break up the extra like $300 or $400 that I have after everything's paid to determine where do I put it towards the debt or um towards the emergency fund. So that's kind of where I got to go back to Chat GPT, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and there are some free counseling things on that, Amy, that you should usually you work down a payment in a percentage and you start on the biggest percentage and then you go through. And so there's like a system. So ask ChatGPT about that.
Thank you. What about you, Megan? Did you have a place where you felt like what is the smallest possible step you can take towards your project? Like,
Well, I'm thinking in hindsight, so we're getting ready to go on an extended trip across the country and with the RV and stuff. And so basically we're moving, right? And it's just a few yards away. So the house and then the camper and but all the things, so there's my stuff and then Larry's got to get his stuff. And then there's all the three cats and the two dogs and what do we need? And so it was just kind of I didn't do a paper thing, but I did, okay, we're going to be on the road. What do we need for all of these months that we probably can't get at Amazon because we're not going to be, stopped anywhere anytime soon. And so I think what I did was I took the things that seemed most urgent in terms of what can't I readily get? Let me order that stuff. Right. And then just started doing all of that. So it was kind of haphazard and it drove me crazy. And so I think what I need to do then actually in hindsight is write it down, and have a plan and figure out the priorities of things and then just start.
good. Did you want to share anything, Jen?
Yeah, you were talking about different goals that we were working on and having them be systematic and having that plan. I have been working towards, I mean, there was lots of examples in things, but I've been working towards like finishing up, refinishing this piece of furniture. And I've been working on it for a long time. And it's like several days have gone by that I haven't touched it. And I just have like one more step to do. But because I have been pretty much consistent with it, like it's close. And so implementing that minimum and maximum goal can really be helpful. Sorry, my kids are loud.
I feel like it can be really hard, to tease out what comes first, what comes second, what comes at the same time? What do you do at the same time? So yeah, it's hard to simplify or let me backtrack, start, with the smallest step. But I did I think it was the example in that chapter, um, like cleaning, just pick something up and put it away, you know. So that was helpful to realize, oh yeah, and then the momentum kind
Mhm.
of kicks in. So question number 3 is simplify. And so you are to identify a task that feels complex, and then what steps could you remove to make it effortless? To me, that's a little more complicated. Speaking of simplification, did you have any ideas that came up in your mind, Jen or Amy?
Mm, I think,
Um, go for it, Amy.
okay, thank you. I think I try to overthink things and overcomplicate things naturally. I don't know why, but um, it's kind of like my brain just wants to look at all the different scenarios and just try to, um, I don't know, put more steps in there than that's needed. And I loved how he gave that example of like somebody starting I guess like a PowerPoint or a call and how to do this, this, and it was like 15 steps. And then he consolidated it down to like two, like I'll send you the link, click on it, and then we'll talk, or something. So I think I also think I do it in conversations. Like I can be talking and sometimes I'll say the same thing, but in like three different ways. And I know that's so frustrating to other people, but I don't know why I feel like I over explain. And after I do it, I'm like, why did I say it? Why did I say something for 5 minutes that I could have said in 1 minute, Um, but I don't know what it is, why I do that. I know it's not just me. I know I've been annoyed by it by other people. So um, I think for me, I noticed when I was reading this chapter is that I tend to do it in conversation and talking is over say things, I guess.
Yeah, that's relatable. I feel like I do that as well. Just because I think I want to be having a conversation. I want to hold their attention. And maybe I feel like they're not understanding because I don't sometimes feel like there's a comprehension on their face. I don't know. Yeah.
And I was going to share one thing that I've learned over the course of years is like ditch it, delegate it, or do it differently. And it's like there are a lot of things in our lives. There's a lot of things in our lives that we really don't have to do. And I think that that's where we can kind of throw out a bunch of that. And is it like when we're clear on our values and what is important to us, it's easier to prioritize things. So I think those go together too.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things it brought up for me is like, because I always feel like there's so many things I want to do, and I have this mentality that I've got to do them all. Or like it's all or nothing. Like I love to hike on Sunday mornings. I have like a hiking group that I love to go out with. Some of them are in this book club, but sometimes I have this battle with myself like, oh, I really need to get this, this, and this done, or oh, I really want to go to church. And so it's like this battle. It's like these competing things that are all important to me that are all like competing with each other. And so for me, I have to tell myself, like, you can have all of them. You might just feel like you need to rotate through them. Like, you don't have to choose all into hiking and you never go to church, or all into church and you never go hiking, or all into um, staying home and just having a day to rest and relax, and you don't have to do any of them. So you don't have to choose between those. You can rotate them. It doesn't have to be like a black and white, all or nothing. So that
Right.
was kind of a mindset shift that kind of came up this week for me as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Moderation, right? Moderation in all things. And
Yeah.
so, I think I was thinking along the same lines as you, as I reflect on this summer. It's done, it's gone, right? And I can't say that I enjoyed any of it. because I was always stressed and going, 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 and trying to just do all the things I wanted to do. Well, and all of the things are enjoyable, but I didn't enjoy any of them this year because I had to do them all, right?
Mhm.
And I really didn't. So that's wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we move on to progress?
Well, I
Okay.
was just trying to think too of any other examples of like what steps are we really leaving out? I think I was trying to apply it. I didn't get very far, but one thing that does come to mind is like I bought a new house and I'm at the stage where I'm putting things together and like renovating a couple little things. I'd love to do a different like light systems and everything. And like sometimes my daughter's having a wedding here at our house, and so I feel like I need to get it ready for that. And so I have to tell myself, like, stop getting new projects. Just stop. And I just gotta finish what I've done because I think that that could like I could be totally like repainting my bathroom cupboards and doing all sorts of things if I wanted to, but I really just gotta stop. So I think part of that maybe applies, but I kind of was trying to think of other examples and I didn't know if I could think of any. So I don't know.
We do. I don't know why we take on so much. Like we don't pace ourselves or we don't, you know, just take a little bit of one area, a little bit of another, right?
Well, and for me, it's like I love it, and I love having passion around that and creation. So
Yeah.
it's just that the timing of being self-control.
Right. Okay, so item number four, question number four is progress. Recall a time, recall a time you hesitated because of perfectionism. What rubbish could you have started with instead?
As I listened to this, I had this like thought, and I don't know if it's really right, but I think perfectionism a lot of times has to do with wanting validation, outside
Mm,
validation in certain areas or things that we're good at or things that we care about kind of get more into that area of like wanting things to be perfect because other people will have something to do with it,
mhm.
whether they visually see it or whatever. And I think that like the way he was talking about it is like it just literally holds you back from what you truly what's really important. But I don't know. Like, there's a lot of thoughts on this.
Yeah, Larry, my husband Larry has a couple of kids. Well, actually, his three kids, all of them are accomplished cooks, chefs, whatever, as a hobby. Right? It's not even their jobs. But and they're different, they're very sophisticated or home cooking or things like that. Well, so I don't want to cook for them. So and so I won't, right? And they're happy to cook for Larry because it's generally meals and it's generally meals that we wouldn't make for ourselves. But I would say I'm adequate, but I don't really even want to learn how to be better at cooking because I would never measure up to how good they are, right? And so I want to be perfect or I don't want to embarrass myself. So for me, that's where that is.
I'm not sure. I couldn't really think of a thing. I know I hold myself back a lot just because of like feeling like I don't even know where to start.
Mhm.
But I liked the example he gave in the book about like a child learning to walk, and we just like encourage the child and get back up,
Right.
you're gonna get it, and it's like we don't tell ourselves those same things when we're starting or learning something new. That yeah, you're gonna fall and you're gonna have to start over, and probably more than once. Um, but that's part of the process and you'll get it. And so it reminded me of that book. I read it years and years ago called Grit, and it made me want to go back and reread that because it's just about having the grit to keep going despite
Mhm.
like how clueless you feel like you are, or how much you have to learn, or how hard it's going to be. Just having that grit and perseverance to kind of um, jump. And I was on another podcast or another Zoom today, and it was a financial one with a financial leader, and one of the things they said, and it kind of is like this, is like one of the number one like mindset mistakes is we don't start because we feel like we need to know everything before we start. And
Right.
it's such a trap because it's like you don't have to see the whole staircase. um you just have to take the first step, and just like, yeah, you need to find, like, I guess tools and resources or mentors or whatever to kind of guide you. Um, but you don't have to have every step all planned out to know that you're going to be successful before just starting. So, um, yeah, I struggle with that too, but I've learned to just kind of not care. I've hosted hikes before, um, and people have like, let's go here. And I've never been to that park. I don't know that trail. And they're like, can you host it? I'm like, and they don't, because they don't want to make the event. So I'll host it. And I've actually never been there. I don't know where we're going. And I'm like, if I host it and make the event, will you like show me where we're going and what we're doing? And they're like, sure. So like, it's just that kind of like, jump and then learn how to swim, fake it
Mhm.
or just wing it and do your best, and know that you can just show up and do your best, and it may not be perfect, but you're okay with that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I liked how give yourself grace, allow
Mhm.
yourself to practice, allow yourself to get better, you
Mhm.
know, and you'll never be perfect, honestly, but yeah, be
Mhm.
kind.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say perfectionism also does miss the boat in our vulnerability of being able to connect with other people, because when we're focused on perfectionism, we're not allowing ourselves to be human. It's
Hmm.
like, who's perfect? Nobody's perfect. So why are we trying to be
Yep.
perfect when it's literally unobtainable? And it's literally, if you hear people like sharing their story or things that are hard for them, you feel drawn to them and you feel more connected than if they were to share this perfect story about themselves and how they're awesome. You don't want to connect with that.
Mhm.
That's so
So,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is a really good point because how many times have we met someone and then you both have a me too? Oh my goodness, that happened to me, or I did this, or I did that, and you're more alike because you realize you've been through, whatever. So, yeah, it's cool. Okay. Anything else before we do the last question? Okay. So, the last question, number 5, is pace. How do you pace yourself in your work or habits? Could setting upper and lower bounds help you sustain progress without burnout? So maybe the first part first. How do you pace yourself in your work or your habits? Any thoughts on that? Ooh, we're almost done with our time. Are we
Would you
going to
say,
run
how
out
do
of
we
time?
pace, like PACE?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Maybe using timers can, if we have an like overbearing job to do, setting timers so that I like how you really talked about that minimum and like being consistent. And with that ship example, I thought that was brilliant.
Mm,
Such a good way to kind of show. And I think anything that we're trying to be consistent in really takes the mindset, because
mhm.
it's overcoming, your desire to do something that isn't maybe that fun or that takes work. So
Yeah.
I did really like that analogy.
Yeah.
I like to I feel like there's so many areas I want to like improve in or work on. Like, I got financial goals, I've got health goals, I've got work goals, I've got goals with my kids. And so for me it's just trying to like break it into small pieces and trying not to overwhelm myself. Um so I won't try to like, I'm going to get 10,000 steps today. I'm going to eat healthy every day. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I might just say this week my goal is to just walk 20 minutes a day. And I try
Right.
to do the best in like all the areas, but it's not like I'm holding myself to like this I just feel like if you try to do too much at once, it all falls apart. And so I try to master one thing at a time. Um, and I think just giving yourself that mental, um, I guess, freedom that it's okay that you don't have to worry about everything today, you know,
Right.
is helpful. So I try to do that, but I do feel like there's like always this battle in my head to do more. You didn't do enough. And um, so I do struggle with like, I don't know, just kind of mentally beating myself up. Um, so yeah, I try to tell myself that it's not going to work, but
Yeah, I try to sometimes set a timer. Okay, so how long am I going to go for a walk? Because right now I'm focusing on actually walking, and I'll get to the point where I'm counting steps, but maybe I can do 15 minutes today and then the next day. And so that way I'm, moderate or monitoring how far and energy and all of those things without overdoing it, and just kind of fit things in that way. So yeah. So does this automatically shut off at 8:30 in my time, 8:30?
I think it's like 5 minutes over. Oh, it says we have
Okay.
10 minutes, but we don't have to go that
Okay.
whole time.
Well, I just wanted to say if we're talking and we got cut off, it was nice to see
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
We
and in
can.
that way, I don't want to be perfect and I don't want to, like be on the dot and stuff. And if we're
Mm,
mid-sentence and we disappear, that's okay too.
mm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. So I think we can talk for a few more minutes if anybody else wants to share about that one or the second part of that one.
Oh, yep. The second part. One moment, I got to scroll back up. Okay. Could setting upper and lower bounds help you sustain progress without burnout? Yeah, and I think that's what we were talking about, is some of the, like for what I was saying, the timing, how long I'm going to walk, rather than, so I've got a couple things going on. And so rather than, super gung ho and I'm going to overtax my body, I'm going to build up the stamina instead, rather than, do really good for a week and then crash, right? And burn.
And I like to that analogy as well with muscles. Like you literally rip them apart, and of course you can only rip them so far. You can't damage them forever. But
Yeah.
I like what you were sharing, like just having things be built on that consistency factor again.
Yeah.
I really liked, it's not part of the question, but just that on page 133, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I liked that because um, it was a good reminder to just kind of slow down on things. Throughout the
Yeah.
week, I noticed giving myself more time and being more patient with myself and not trying to do so much at one time because it's actually slow is smooth and it's more productive and efficient. And if you try to go fast, you're making more errors and just
Right.
I don't know. So I liked that like first little phrase underneath the title pace and I'm very ADHD or ADD, so like my body and brain are just kind of moving faster sometimes than, well, I'd say my body's moving faster than my brain. And so I really have to say, okay, let the brain control the body, not the body control the brain, because I just want to zip right through things. So that was this was a very helpful chapter for me and a good reminder to, it's better to do things slower and smooth and do it once than to have to go back and redo it because you zipped right through it and made mistakes or did it wrong.
Yeah, and in sewing or carpentry or whatever, measure twice and
Mhm.
cut once, right? Rather than impulsively say, oh, that's good enough, and then it doesn't fit. So then you've wasted time and material and money because maybe you had to go get more supplies. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that reminder too. I haven't heard that one in a while.
yeah, right. It was something my
Mhm.
dad was always saying because, they built their home. And so it was always, take that extra time and measure twice and cut once. No, that stuck with me.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna let Stephanie know that we're ending, so she'll stop the video. Um,
Great.
but thanks for hosting, Megan.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
next week we'll be on the same time, and we'll be covering the next section. I think it's starts on page